It's Tuesday, the 14th of January 2025. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to race through in 5 minutes. Let's go with story number 1. The federal government will spend another $3 billion on the NBN rollout. Money it claims will extend fibre optic connections to the doors of most homes and businesses.
That's right. The government will spend $3 billion. The NBN will throw in $800 million. The idea is that fibre optic will get to the doors of most places across the country. That money will reach 622,000 new addresses at about $6,000 a pop, be completed by 2030. The NBN was started back in 2010, initial budget of $30 billion. It probably cost about twice that, of which the federal government's ponied up about $35 billion. The value, if sold, according to the Productivity Commission, is probably about $19.5 billion, well less than that $60 billion in the government's accounts. It sits at about $30 billion. Originally, the idea was that it's fibre optic cable to the home. Coalition made it fibre to the node. Now we're going back to fibre to the home. Very likely that this one will be an election issue.
Sean, on to story number 2 now. There's a major sell-off in bank stocks yesterday with the share price of all of the big four, Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank, Westpac and ANZ, dropping 2% or more.
In fact, you can throw in a few other financials. Macquarie Group, QBE, Suncorp, they're all down more than 2% as well. The story here is that fears of reinflation in the US and fewer rate cuts in that economy, also fewer rate cuts here, are hitting the stocks. If rates start falling, banks might be able to hold on to a bit of profit margin, not actually pass through that rate reduction immediately. That's one of the theories running around. So therefore, if rates don't fall as much, the banks won't be able to hold on to that margin. Probably more important is that bank stocks last year did incredibly well. Westpac led the way. Commonwealth Bank, Westpac was up 40% or so. Commonwealth Bank was more than 30%. They're priced to perfection. If things don't go their way, then investors are looking to sell them off. And I think there's a bit of that going on at the moment.
Yeah, ordinary day for banks yesterday. A tough day as well on the floor for Myer, which is story number 3 today, Sean. Its share price yesterday tumbled more than 15% after it said the Christmas selling season was tough, with sales slightly lower than they were the previous year.
Myer is in the middle of a big fortnight. Shareholders vote next week on whether or not to buy Premier Investments, women's wear and casual brands. Myer came out yesterday and said tough trading conditions, store closures, higher costs all hit profit and sales. In fact, in the 22 weeks to just after Christmas, sales were down. So too was gross profit. Chief Executive Officer Olivia Wirth said Black Friday sales were pretty good, but since then, consumers have been very cautious. Also, there were poor sales figures from Premier Investments brands. This is the group that Myer is going to buy. Its share price fell more than 15% yesterday. In a week's time, those shareholders vote on that deal. It'll be very interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, indeed. Story number 4, the year's first bidding war for a company has broken out, with private equity group Bain Capital upping its offer for ASX-listed wealth company Insignia Financial to $2.9 billion.
That's right. They went from $4 a share to $4.30 a share. That matches CC Capital. CC Capital is also bidding for Insignia. Insignia is a company full of financial planners and wealth managers. It's done well over the last 6 months, even before the latest bids. 4,000 employees, $320 billion in funds under management. Bain said shareholders might be able to retain some equity under private equity ownership. That'd be an interesting structure if that was the case. It closed yesterday at $4.23, so clearly most investors think a deal of some sort will be done.
Last one, Sean. Story number 5. Millions have arrived to attend the Hindu festival of Kumbh Mela, which is described as humanity's biggest gathering in northern India. This is huge.
Yes, it's held once every 12 years, started yesterday, and over the next 6 weeks, the devout will bathe at Sangam, the confluence of India's most sacred Ganges River, and the Yamuna River and the mythical Saraswati. According to a BBC report, Hindus believe that taking a dip in the sacred river will cleanse them of sins, purify their soul, and liberate them from the cycle of birth and death, as the ultimate goal of Hinduism is salvation. About 400 million pilgrims are expected to attend the 45-day spectacle, which is so large it could be seen from space. 5 to 8 million worshippers were expected to bathe yesterday. Big day today, 20 million people are expected to bathe, starting with ash-smeared naked Hindu holy men with matted dreadlocks known as Naga sadhus taking a dip at dawn.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Michael.
It is Tuesday, the 14th of January, 2025. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.